next up, we have Theresa Corazon. So if we can pull up her slide, please. So I had the pleasure of meeting Theresa, gosh, about 6 months ago, 8 months ago. We probably crossed paths through Startup Canada in real life, but I don't think we actually met in person. If I'm wrong, Theresa can say, yeah, we've met 3 times. It's going to be embarrassing. Yeah, I don't remember. I don't think we have. But you're such an advocate for entrepreneurship and mental health and empowering those people that are underrepresented. A lot of what we do here, but you do it on such a larger scale. And I see what you're doing. You're leading the way, and I'm trying to keep up. And I've learned so much, Theresa, from what you're doing here. So we're going to hear two things from you. Well, probably a lot more. Don't want to spoil it, but we're going to hear about the Miracle Morning movie and also the Socialite Conference that you have, which is massive and it keeps growing. So I'm not going to spoil any more. And Theresa, I'm going to turn it over to you. So thank you for joining us and welcome.
Thank you so much, Colin, for having me. And hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Amazing. Okay. So welcome, everybody. And I'm so happy to be here, Colin. And what an amazing talk, Eric. And thank you, everyone. I'm going to drop a lot of nuggets, as Colin said. So take your pen and your paper out, because this is definitely an informative talk. So I'm just trying to move my slides. How do I... Show slide navigator. Okay, I'm trying to go to number 2. I can... Okay, great. So I hope this is a happy 2021 for all of you. And I like to spell it W-O-N. And I do want to say a special shout out to Vancouver, where I lived for 3 years. And I'm very proud to have been part of the Vancouver community. Now, how many of you watching this had an idea? But in reality, it looks like the picture on the right. The reality is over there. The idea is on the left. Reality is you haven't really met yet, and so COVID has been a great landscape for people to start new businesses, dream bigger, and make these ideas into reality. Like most entrepreneurs, we are gung-ho. We just jump and go after what we want to go after, and we launch without knowing. And so, what to do, how to do it, what's the outcome going to be. And I'm going to share my entrepreneurial journey and all the nuggets and things that I wish somebody taught me when I first began, with a specific focus on mental health and how you can not just, survive 2021, but actually thrive. And so there are a bunch of questions that have shaped the framework of my life. Can you hear me? Oh, okay, great. So there are a bunch of questions that framed my life. And when I was supposed to be a doctor, for instance, when I was little, and I got accepted into pre-med school, and when I came home, I remember doing a speech for the Lieutenant Governor of Canada, and I got a standing ovation, and I was 17 years old. And when I went home, I said, if I didn't care about money, what my parents wanted, or anything like that, what do I actually love to do? And I thought about it, being a doctor would be having you be in a hospital with sick babies, and really, is that what I wanted to do? I went home after that event and I told my mother that I was going to be a television anchor. I wanted to get into television because I loved traveling and pop culture at the time. So you can imagine how great that conversation went. But eventually she supported me, and I graduated from Ryerson University as the president of journalism and pursued a career into television. So for 10 years, I worked in TV for the largest network in Canada, CTV Much Music. And by the time I was 26, I had 9 national series under my belt, and I was producing content that millions of Canadians were consuming. So these are some of my sets here that you can see. And, it was a really great, amazing, incredible blessing of a career. And at the same time, though, I was being mentored by Dr. Monica Sharma, and she's the head of leadership capacity for the United Nations. I started realizing that I loved leadership and impact, and the content I was creating was really empty. So I decided to make my first TV series at 29, and I created an idea where you take a workaholic and you fly them to Tibet, you take a punk rocker and you fly them to Kenya. And for my pilot, I spoke to G Adventures, which is the largest travel company in the world, and they gave $250,000 to my project, and that's the CEO, Bruce Puntip, which is one of Canada's top entrepreneurs. And we flew and we took this blonde, blue-eyed Prada princess and we dropped her in the Pimpi Lala tribe deep in the Ecuadorian Amazon. And we shot a pilot. And my point was to show networks like MTV that positive content, that we have a responsibility to produce positive content, and that content doesn't have to be empty like what we were seeing. The network almost bought the deal. It would have been a $1.2 million deal, and under my production company at the time. And then the industry collapsed and 500 employees were let go of that particular network, including the lawyer who was in negotiations with my lawyer. So that was my first sort of hit as an entrepreneur, where I thought I was going to succeed. I put everything in it and I didn't work out the way I planned. So when I'm upset, I climb mountains. And over here is a mountain that I climbed, Huayna Picchu, where I knew that I had to release all the negative self-talk that I had. I read books like Think and Grow Rich and Awaken the Giant Within. And when I got back, the Center for Social Innovation had a contest, and they said, we're giving $25,000 away to an entrepreneur or a startup who has an idea. I've always wanted like a TED meets Oprah meets MTV. And I was 31. I was like, you know what? Nobody else is doing this. Let's do it. So I wanted to launch something, and Socialite stood for Leader Impacting Global Humanity Today. And I thought, if our society and our generation can value one another, not for the watch you wear or the superficial materialistic things, rather the impact that each of us have on the planet, that is a new breed of socialite. That is a different context of what we value as a society. I didn't know my business model back then. And what I did was I launched it with little sticky notes, and I used the Lean Startup Canvas. Did some demographic searches for Canada's landscape. And this was the statistics from back then, but there were 2.3 million entrepreneurs in Canada, now more, approximately 104,000 startups per year. And I thought, this is a great market that I can serve. So, as I mentioned, I was mentored by Dr. Monica Sharma, and she was the head of leadership capacity for the United Nations in New York. For 3 years, I learned under her, and she said, if you're going to build a conference, then it's going to be like everybody else's. But if you embody a systemic change or systems design thinking in what you're building, it will be long-lasting impact. And so I embodied and took on the triple bottom line of people, planet, profit. And 10 years ago, before people were even really talking about it, we were the first conference to really talk about how you should value profit the same as you value the impact on the environment and humanity. So business as a force of good. And I literally, thought like the three little pigs, and the first pig built his house on hay, the second on wood, and the third on bricks. And when you're an entrepreneur or startup, the big bad wolf will symbolize negative self-talk, people telling you can't do it, all these things. People were like, you can't launch an event. You've never done an event before. You're a journalist. And so I knew that I wanted to build my startup on strong foundations, and that I had to build based, with bricks, so that I could sustain things like the big bad wolf of my own negative self-talk or other people saying what's possible or not. So again, I built Socialite using yellow sticky notes, just like everyone else. And 4 months later, I was like, oh my gosh, the model is going to be a conference, and is anybody going to show up? I don't know. And, it was a big question and a big risk. And, 4 months later, I launched in Toronto at the Metro Toronto Convention Center. 1,000 people showed up, more than that. And Sir Richard Branson opened my first event. This here is a bunch of people that came to the event. On the left top hand corner is my first Vancouver socialite, because I had expanded into two cities after the third or fourth year. And I just wanted to bring together many different aspects of entrepreneurship into the playing ground. We got a lot of media coverage from Forbes to all sorts of things, saying it was a mecca for emerging entrepreneurs, and really just started building this dream. And so for anyone out there, I'm sharing this with you because you have something inside of you that you might not know is going to work out or not. But resources like Startup Canada and communities like this and Colin, and there's so much flourishing opportunity for you as Canadians to build robust companies. So as I was building my dream, I have had the opportunity to meet some really cool people. And these are just some examples of the people that I've met on my journey. And so when you follow that whisper in your heart, you never know what it's going to lead to and the opportunities that are going to come. This was my last event, and I got a little deeper in my last event, and I didn't want, that's Mayor Tory on the right. And I asked Mayor Tory to say, what are the biggest problems that Toronto faces as a city, and outline the top 3 problems. And then I said to the startup community and all the entrepreneurs that were in my audience, we can solve these problems. If you can bring together the innovation and the energy of the startup community, along with, there were some unicorns in the audience, and unicorns are a company and founders that have built over $1 billion corporations. And in Canada, there's 14 of them now. We can solve things like reducing garbage, like lowering gun violence through meditation, like Drake's friend, Director X, said. So there's lots of opportunity. And my question to all of you watching is, what would you do if you were not afraid? If you thought anything was possible, what would you do this year? And if you did something called a heart's bullseye, where you literally took a bow and arrow and you shot at it, but instead of shooting at many different things, which is called the shiny object syndrome, you just shot and put everything into the one thing that your soul actually wants to do. Now, your life is a network of conversations. And what I mean by that is get your dream out of you into the world and talk to as many people as you can about your dream. This is an exercise that I learned from Landmark. And basically, you put a picture of yourself in the middle, you divide the screen, and you say family, friends, work, personal, and your community. Then with a red marker in the box here, that is your dream. And then with a red pen, you link your dream with all the people that you've shared your dream with. Now, as you can see with this example person, she's only shared it with one person. So when your dream exists in your head, that is a party of one. And the likelihood of you manifesting that dream is almost 0 to none, right? Like, you want to start talking about your dream to as many people as you can in all the sectors that you can. And then where you can change the game is where you talk to people that can actually move your dream forward. The minute I learned about that distinction, I flew to New York and I had a meeting with Oprah Winfrey's president as an example of a network. And entrepreneurship is the journey, not so much of all that you achieve, even though it's incredible, but it's who you get to become in the process of pursuing your dream. Now, these are the things. What did I learn? What can you implement today? So SAVERS is a global formula that I learned that I'm going to go deeper in a little later. Systems and system design thinking. I didn't learn about systems till I was year 5 of my business. And I really think you could look into platforms like Notion that are leading the way right now. Having a very strong foundation for legal and accounting. Financial literacy is a huge reason why so many startups fail. So if you're a startup and you've got a really incredible idea, make sure that you get really good startup lawyers and really good startup accountants to support you to build a strong foundation, or as the 3 little pigs, a house built on bricks. Make sure that you get part of masterminds, getting yourself mentors, understand how to own your time, schedule, and prioritize many different things. So I used to just work. And now I realize, as we talked about in this conference, the importance of mental health and overall health and well-being. So I, really urge all of you to schedule yourself so much that you have brackets, because entrepreneurs, we don't have a schedule, right? We're working all the time. We're wearing 90 hats at the same time. So it's so important for your health to make sure that you schedule that and you make it a priority. Think like building a brand and reputation, which is everything. Learning about the lean startup methodology with Eric Ries. Think global, as Colin said earlier. A lot of Canadians were known to think, kind of like serving local, and serving local is amazing. But what if you thought about glocal, which is the G''LOCAL? There is a huge planet out there that can't wait to consume the work or products or vision that you have. So once you start building your startup, really start to think global and think about researching and learning from other companies that have done that as well. Impact measurement is huge. Who are the lives that you're impacting? How are you impacting the environment? How are you impacting the community around you? These are impact measurements that you want to start thinking about as a startup or entrepreneur. And then, as Colin mentioned as well, co-opetition and being somebody in the community that is focused on the collective good as opposed to just yourself. As Colin mentioned, I'm also the producer of the Miracle Morning movie. This movie has taken me over 5 years to make with our team. I partnered with Hal Elrod, and the book has sold over 2 million copies worldwide. We had our launch just 4 weeks ago, last month. We had 12,000 people join us from around the world, 72 countries. And now the Miracle Morning movie is available on Amazon in 7 different languages. Here I am interviewing some of the world's top entrepreneurs from around, the world, and we put together the morning routine, secrets, tips, and tricks into this movie. So, as I mentioned, the formula that all of you can take from my talk today is SAVERS, and S stands for silence, A is affirmations, V is visualization, E is exercise, R is reading, and S is scribing. If you do the SAVERS formula for the rest of 2021, and if you only do 1 minute of each, that can fundamentally change the direction of your entire year. You will be a better father, a better business partner, a better friend, a better community member, because you took time to fill you first. So instead of picking up your cell phone, which lots of us are trained to pick up our cell phone in the morning, I encourage everyone who's watching to take on the possibility of a morning routine and to do the 30-day Miracle Morning Challenge, which is free, and it's 1 minute of each of the savers. Now, remember, success, as you see it in the landscape, and when you read a lot of these stories, you think success is going to look like column left there, which is a straight arrow. But I'd like to remind all of you who's watching, crazy enough to follow your dreams like I did, that success actually looks like that. You're going to have your highs, and this is definitely one of the highs of my career. I got to meet my dream person, Miss Oprah Winfrey, and as you can see, she loves. We dressed the same that day. I was like, "Hey, girl, you're wearing a great outfit today." We wore the same dress with the same bracelets, almost looked like Mama Bear to Baby Bear, and that was a height of my sort of pursuing of my dream. But just like anything, there's highs and there's lows. In 2017, I was hit by a bus. And that's me on the left-hand side there. They found me in a pool of blood, face down to cement. I was crushed by the bus. The bus was actually on me, and they brought a body bag, and they thought that I was dead. So when they found that I had a heartbeat, they rushed me to St. Michael's Emergency, and that is where I did emergency surgeries. I had 8 broken ribs, frontal lobe brain trauma. I couldn't walk, talk, breathe, you name it. And my dog was in my arm as well, my dog Love, and somebody saved Loved as well. And so this all happened to me on Easter Sunday. And as a Catholic and somebody who believes in God, it's a very symbolic day for my miracle to happen on Easter Sunday. And I think it's symbolic for anybody watching this, no matter what religion or faith you are, hope and resiliency, and the fact that you will always rise. Just like the sun, you will always rise, and we will all get knocked down. You might have a bus that looks like your business partner stole from you, your partner cheated on you, there was a death in the family, somebody got sick with COVID. Whatever your bus is, there are ways and techniques to get up. And I just want to share my story. So what did I learn, and what can you implement today again? Obviously, the Miracle Morning routine, which I explained earlier. So savers, that 100% will transform your life over the next 30 days if you try it. Making sure that your environment supports a good evening and morning routine. What you measure moves. And so you want to be measuring your progress as you continuously either grow or create whatever dream you have. Don't think you can go 0 to 100. A lot of entrepreneurs want to go 0 to 100, like the Drake song, real quick. And it's not about going 0 to 100. It's about going 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3. For me, 0 to 1 was going to the bathroom by myself without my 2 private nurses walking me there. And then my 1 to 2 was learning how to talk again. I couldn't talk. The pressures around my lungs and heart were so immense. So I was allowed to talk to 1 person a week. And so for you, don't go 0 to 100. Just go 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3. Again, there are tons of resources. I am part of a bigger group of leaders, and the CMHA is incredible. There's Real Talk, which is done by a friend of mine, Cherry Rose. She interviewed 200 of Canada's top tech entrepreneurs to get their stories, so you want to check that out. Remember that we have 3 mouths, mouth 1, mouth 2, and mouth number 3. And you want to make sure that this year you're eating incredible food, not only here, but with your eyes. What are you watching? What are you reading? With your ears, what are you listening to? Who are you around? You are the average of the 5 closest to you. So you want to make sure that you feed your 3 mouths really well this year. I have done 48 no cell phone Sundays, and it is the best thing that I've done in 2020. It helped me get through a global pandemic and a global revolution. And I would wake up and, ask my heart what it needs, but I had no cell phone, no social media, nothing on Sundays, and it allowed me to recalibrate. Bounce back game, understanding and creating a bounce back game for you. when you feel all off kilter and when you get knocked down, because all of us as entrepreneurs, we're going to have off days. We're going to be like, why didn't we close that deal? This thing happened, that thing happened. You got to have a really strong bounce back game. It's just like fighting, right? Like, what is your bounce back game? My bounce back game is listening to music, taking a really long shower, hugging a tree, going swimming, dancing, ice cream, time with my boyfriend, like whatever it is, you want to make sure that you have a strong bounce back game so that you know when you fall off, you can fall to your little toolkit. And then obviously having unwavering faith, which is what Hal and I talk about, unwavering faith, no matter what your faith is. Again, here is the Miracle Morning poster. I'm inviting all of you to watch it. It's miraclemorningmovie.com. And the 5 regrets of the dying, just to reiterate, I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. I wish I hadn't worked so hard. I wish I had the courage to express my feelings. I wish that I had let myself be happier. I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. Friends, and all of you watching, I want you to really, really take this year as an opportunity to have the best year you've ever had. Adversity, and this is coming from somebody who just recently survived being hit by a bus. Adversity is a treasure trail to your soul's gold. You will not discover, you would not have discovered, and are probably not in the discovery of the gold that lies within you had you not gone through that adversity. So whether you went through something or you are going through something right now, the question becomes, what did I learn from this? And how can I be a better person from this? And just remember that adversity is a treasure trail to your soul's gold. And lastly, for all you entrepreneurs and startups that are watching this across Canada, it is not easy. Being an entrepreneur is not an easy choice. Getting a job, okay, great, it's all cookie cutter. But when you have the bold guts enough to follow the thing that's inside of you, it's going to come with adversity, like I just mentioned. And it's not going to be easy, but I can definitely tell you that it's worth it. And if there's any seed that I can plant in all of you watching, it's that it's possible. The dream you have inside of you is possible. And so I want to end with, if you are interested in any of the resources or me going further into what I said or learning more about the Miracle Morning Challenge, the founder, Victoria Lennox of Startup Canada, just did my 30-day challenge, and she ended up giving it to her mom and dad and sister and brother, and I highly recommend it for all of you. But if you're interested, just hit me up on LinkedIn, or you can email me there at that email, and call in, and Startup Canada, Vancouver, and all the incredible sponsors and my fellow speakers. I want to thank you for the opportunity for being with you today. And this is just such a joy for me. And I can't wait to be inspired by all of you for our collective thriving future. Oh, that's awesome. I'm so excited to be with all of you.
I'm back. Yes, the technology let me down there. It was probably me. I probably clicked on something getting excited there. So you lost me for a couple of minutes. So thank you for everybody's patience and for covering me while I was in somewhere in space there. But we're back. So holy smokes, Theresa, there's just so nuggets of wisdom doesn't even start. There was that was so densely packed with awesomeness that I'm almost paralyzed by choice of where to start here. I do want to say that we did put the link to the miraclemorningmovie.com at the top for all everybody attending, so they can get that very easily here. So I wanted to ask, maybe you covered this while I was away for a minute or two, but Fiona, were there any questions in chat from our audience here?
Yeah, in the chat box, there's a bunch here. We have Matthew, who is, I know, Matthew, you're an incredible leader in Vancouver. You lead up a lot of youth across Vancouver. Deborah said, I feel energized. Brenda asked, how do we connect? I'm like, sure, you could just look up Theresa Larico on LinkedIn. And yeah, I can answer anything because it was a lot. I gave you guys a lot.
You did. I just want to say your resiliency of kind of the personal experience that you've gone through, literally getting hit by a bus. Everybody makes that joke, is like, well, unless I get hit by a bus today, you actually got hit by a bus. And it sounds like that wasn't that long ago, was it? When was that?
So that was only 3 years ago.
Oh goodness. Jeez.
3 years ago, yeah, and it was 2 years of healing and really, you know, the I don't even know how to explain, but the humility that it comes with. And you have to get, I was a very busy entrepreneur. So I had my company, I had staff, 6 staff in Toronto, another 6 in Vancouver, 2 offices we're running. Plus, I was in a city a week filming my movie. With Hal Elrod and our whole production team. So we would be in like Arizona. The next week we're in California. The next week we're in Texas. We were all over filming. And my life was so go 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 back then, and I think it took a bus to stop somebody like me, and unfortunately, and the amount of humility that it's brought me in terms of being grateful just to walk and talk, and it really really taught me what is important in my life, and that health is so important. And even as entrepreneurs, the mental health, the overall landscape, people don't talk about mental health. If you say, "Hey, how are you doing?" We're so trained to be like, "Everything's fine, everything's great." Meanwhile, we're like crying, going, "I don't know how this is going to happen." And this, and there isn't. It's almost like a smoke and mirror. And so I'm so excited to be part of federal, provincial, national, American, like all sorts of conversations around the world to eradicate that and say, you know what? It's okay to be off, and it's okay to want to cry, and it's okay that you're having a bad day, and it's only going to be a bad day, and tomorrow is going to come, and let's strengthen your bounce back game, and let's, you know, watch a comedy, take a breather, turn your cell phone off. There's so many things that entrepreneurs can do. And I think it begins with cultivating a landscape across our country that it's okay to talk about mental health, and it's okay to care about it and make it a priority. And I think with COVID hitting us, it's made us as a humanity much more conscious of our mental health and our environment and the choices that we're making of what we are feeding our 3 mouths.
Yeah. And yes, to elaborate on that, it is okay to be not okay. And that is something that raising awareness of that and the comfort of that and the security of that. And I know that Rivers touched on it. Well, everybody's touched on it in one way or another this evening here, but the way that especially corporate life has been built, and it seems for everybody, but it seems I personally have experienced with my friends and other people I know, older men in professional capacities, they're struggling with their mental health. It's not as if you have, I don't know, if you've got, say, if you have cancer, something terrible, whatever that could be, or some ailment, some physical ailment, you need to take the time to actually take care of yourself. That's fine. But that stigma that's attached of not wanting to reveal that because it could jeopardize their career or even torpedo it, and they feel that that could then put them behind or stigmatize them in that way. So I'm so glad that we are slowly bringing these conversations to the forefront. We can't have them often enough. And I know tomorrow is talking about talk is Bell Let's Talk Day. So everybody please participate in that, because like I said, these conversations cannot happen enough. And Theresa, I'm so glad that we've connected and we'll continue to connect. I hope this is just the beginning of our relationship, and we will deepen that and find ways to collaborate over the years, because I just draw so much energy and inspiration from what you're doing, and I have so much to learn from you. So thank you so
And
much.
Colin, thank you. I just want to say that, I'm excited for you to try the Miracle Morning yourself, because you are such an incredible leader that so many people across Vancouver look up to as a co-founder. And I just want to acknowledge you and your leadership for all that you're doing, for our community, for all the startups and lives that are watching this nationally. And I just really want to acknowledge you and tell you that we're all just so proud of you and grateful for your contribution. And yeah, I'm so grateful to be here, and feel free to reach out anytime. And I'm really proud of you and all of Startup Canada and Startup Vancouver.
Oh, Theresa, thank you so much. I really appreciate those kind words.
So,